like, how did they live for success in every area of their life? We have the book right here. Like, this is what they lived by. This is their code of conduct was the Torah. And that's just beautiful to me because, you know, my mother left this world. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Life of Virtue. We have not done videos in, it feels like forever.
That's right.
So I want to say welcome back to us. Welcome back to Life of Virtue.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad that we had such a good Pesach.
We did, yes.
It was a really good moment, and it was very meaningful. And now we're ready to go back to our normal life.
Yep, until we hit Shavuot, which is coming up soon. So
yeah, that's right.
That's the fun thing about Judaism is there's so many holidays. So for those of you who are not aware of what we're talking about, Pesach is Passover, and we had a great 8 days of festivities and
spending time with other people, spending time with the children, eating a lot of matzah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So. Eating matzah can be fun, and it cannot be fun at the same time, and depending.
Definitely, depending.
Yeah. But the main thing that we're going to talk about today is you. We're going to focus on you today. I was thinking that we were going to do a 2-part series where we're going to talk about your journey and just focus on that. And then there will be another part where it will be my side of the journey.
Yes.
Of how we came to Judaism and all those things.
For sure. So there's 2 sides of every story, and to have both of our stories in one video would be a really long video. So we're going to break that up into 2 parts, like you just said.
Yes. And also, I do want to work on another video that has to do with why I left Christianity and came to Judaism. Yeah. And what were those things, that changed our mind, basically.
Yeah.
But I want to do that with tact, and I want to make sure that it's done properly and that it has, all the details most of the details. It's not going to have all the details, but a lot of the important details.
Yeah. So stay tuned to our channel. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do that, and you can look out for those videos coming. So,
yes.
Yeah.
So without further ado.
Yes. So I didn't grow up in a religious home, but I would say that my mother, blessed be her memory, was a spiritual woman. And she did impart in me a lot of like faith system and belief in God, just stuff like that. And so I knew of God. I didn't grow up knowing God and knowing, the things of God, but just, I hope I'm making sense. But yeah, she was definitely a spiritual person.
Now, did she have a particular religious background or anything like that?
She would say that she was from the Catholic background, but nothing that I didn't call myself a Catholic. It wasn't until I was a teenager that I called myself a Christian, because I decided to go to church and adopted that faith system for myself. And
so she basically was like a non-practicing
I would
Catholic.
say so, yeah. When I was a teenager and met this handsome feller, we went to church together, and so I became a Christian, and we raised 3 children in that faith system. And I started to question some things within Christianity, like not off the bat, but like we had some people that were in our life at the time. I would say this started like 2010. These particular people were just giving us some like really challenging, thought-provoking ideas about the Torah and about Shabbat, and not Judaism per se, but just like, hey, like things that we were being taught, just it made us question some things, and it definitely made the wheels start turning.
Real quick, did you consider yourself like a practicing Christian at the time?
Yes.
So you were in a search for God and you were...
Yeah, correct. Like I know that at that time I was saying like, well, I didn't say Hashem, I was saying God. So my prayers were like, I want to know you and I want you to lead me to truth. I want to know who you are and how I can live for you. And the beautiful message in Christianity is like, you don't have to do anything. Like you just accept certain belief systems and you're good to go. And I was like, there has to be something more, something deeper, something like on a day to day that we're supposed to do for God, with God. I don't know. I just knew that there was something off. So there were people in our lives at the time that were giving us some thought-provoking ideas about things that made my wheels turn in the right direction. And so I would say in like 2010, around that time, I remember telling our 3 children at the time, they were 12, 9, and 6 probably. Yeah, because they're like all 3 years apart. I remember telling them like, guys, I don't think we're going to do Christmas, Easter, go to church. Like we're going to switch this up and it's going to look very different. And because we have such a good relationship, they were just trusting. Like you're the parents, right? So whatever you're doing, lead the way. We're going to follow because we love you and we trust you. So taking away Christmas and stuff like that in church and the things that they were used to, it was pretty uncomfortable, but they were so like, what's a good word for it? Just, like
open-minded.
They were, yeah. And so it was strange for a little bit to like just all of a sudden just switch and like not do stuff. And then I had to look up like what to do instead of Christmas and like look things up. And I found out about Hanukkah and Passover. And I'm like, oh, we can start doing these little things that look more Jewish. But I wasn't even going for Jewish or trying to convert.
Biblical.
It was like trying to look for something like, okay, what is the root of like Christianity? Because everything I was reading, I didn't see anything that was like looking like a modern day Christian belief system. It looked and sounded like a lot of Jewish stuff. So I was like,
Yeah, but at the time, I don't think, if I remember correctly, you weren't thinking, oh, let's go the Jewish route or anything like that. It was more like,
not yet. It was a very soft progression.
But we were trying, if I remember correctly, you were trying to just stick to the Bible, whatever the Bible says. So that's why I called it biblical.
Mm-hmm.
I think we were just trying to be biblical.
Yeah.
And trying to remove things that just were around that,
right,
or covering that biblical thing. So where was I at during that time?
So during that time, he was in Afghanistan. He served our country. Thank you. And I lived in Germany at the time with the children while he was away. And I would just share with him some ideas and things that I was researching. And there was a time when I would say it was like 2012, I started to research the holidays and looking into like why we do what we do. And I just started getting interested in like, okay, if I want to know the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, if I want to know the God of the beginning of the book, of the Old Testament, which I don't even like to call it the Old Testament, but for everyone to understand what I'm talking about here, I wanted to know that God. So in 2012, I was researching like if in Christianity you don't do Halloween. Halloween is so evil. The origins are evil. So I was like, okay, well, how about all the other ones? Are they evil too? And not because anyone said anything about it, but I was just like genuinely curious. Like, how about Christmas and Easter? How about the origins of the things that I'm practicing and have been teaching our children to practice? Like, what's the origins of that? And what does God say about that? Because a lot of people were quick to tell you what God thinks about Halloween, but they won't tell you what he thinks of when it comes to Christmas and Easter. So I was like, okay, I need to find out. Did that, threw that away, and just was like, okay, I'm for sure like, I see that I'm really like progressing in a way closer to Hashem, but still didn't call it Judaism, still wasn't looking to convert, nothing like that.
So real quick, would you say that me not being around helped you focus a little bit more on that area and be able to do all this research?
I guess. I mean, I don't know if it would have been any different if you were around. I mean, maybe we both would have been questioning stuff together. I'm not quite sure how that would have looked, but it definitely felt like being in foreign soil and living in another place, like alone, with no friends or family that I was close to, no close network. no accountability, nothing. Just being in that place of solitude, almost, of me being on a journey of like finding out who God is and what I'm supposed to do. It was just a great experience, I would say. So yeah, in 2012, I was in South Carolina. We were in South Carolina, and we started going to a Messianic, I don't want to say synagogue, because it was congregation. Thank you. And there, it was definitely a stepping stone for us, and I'm thankful for the time we had there. We saw and came to an understanding of little things here and there that I would say helped fill the gaps and what we were missing and what I was looking for and what we were looking for. And then my husband started to visit a Chabad, a local Chabad. Yay for all the Chabads out there, because they're all over. And they were just allowing and accepting us for you to dive in and participate in the discussions and stuff like that, and events and activities. So we started to, visit, and it was getting more like, I think this is what we were looking for. Like, I guess the answer that we were looking for is Judaism. And it wasn't even like conversion was not something on my radar. Like I never had like a dream and a goal of like, one day I'm going to be an Orthodox Jewish woman, like that, raising Jewish children, doing Jewish things. That was not a goal or a dream or anywhere on my radar, but it started to make more sense to me. We moved to Florida, and then I think it was 2017 when we moved to Florida, or 2018. I don't know. Why is it all a blur, right?
2018.
Yeah. When we go through like a timeline, everything's like a blur. 2018. And that's when we visited, was it an Orthodox one?
It was a traditional synagogue.
Traditional meaning it was Orthodox, but
no, it's not considered Orthodox like the way an Orthodox shul would work. It is similar. It is almost like in between Orthodox and conservative.
Okay. Well, we went there, and
There's
it
not
just
many.
did not. No, there was not many at that location where we were, and so we just knew it wasn't a good fit for us and for our family. And then we we moved to the conservative synagogue. Is it a synagogue? Would you call it that? It's still a congregation. It fits so much better in there.
So usually the Orthodox usually call where they congregate shuls,
right?
And the conservative will call it a synagogue, and then the Reform will call it a temple.
Okay. Well,
and they're all
congregation though, like.
I like congregation
because they congregate, right?
Yeah.
So we went to the conservative congregation, and we converted, me, Mikhail, and our children. There we started to see that, like this isn't exactly like this is great, and I was thankful, and I am thankful for every step of the way. But we just knew that for our children to be in Jewish day school and to go through the Jewish summer camps and be fully ingrained in it, and being a part of a community where like we're living within a community of people, because even in the conservative world, we were just spread out, and there was not a community per se, but like they'll have the congregation and people live everywhere. Whereas in the Orthodox world, we knew that we would be a close-knit unit and community, and for the children to grow up in that was vital for
even
anything.
the view of the Torah is completely different.
Yeah, that's different.
All those things played a part. While we were looking spiritually, and also the communal part, all of it together.
Yes. So yeah, we decided to reach out to the Orthodox community. What was that, 2020?
2021 is when we ended up visiting our congregation.
So 2021. And so, wow, this is such a long timeline. And so 2021 was when we moved to the Orthodox community that we are currently located in.
Yes. I do have a few questions for you, since because you covered a lot of ground in a little bit of time, since we can't make these videos too long. Mm-hmm. But you did a fine job, by the way.
Hey, Baruch Hashem.
How did you feel accepted automatically when you went to the Orthodox community?
Yes. So I was nervous about that because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know exactly if if they were going to be like, inclusive or exclusive and what's going to happen. So yeah, they were definitely, in our community at least, I don't know how it is around the world, but in our community, they were just like, good Shabbos, where are you eating today? Would you like to join us? What a beautiful family. Where are you from? And just like, I was like, okay, that's awesome. That's beautiful. That's nice. And it wasn't just one family. It was another one and another family and another family. I was like, okay, is this like because they're not used to having visitors? Are they like, what's going on? Why is everyone like so nice here? And we just discovered that is just the way our community is. And it just drew me in to see that there are people who are just so authentic and genuine and loving, and just the empathy, the compassion, all of that. It's just beautiful. So yes, it was a great welcoming from the beginning. Baruch Hashem.
So how was your experience in previous congregations? Meaning, where did you feel that same warmth in other congregations? Like how was your experience, going to the first, because I remember we first went to a conservative congregation. That was our first Jewish place that we went to in South Carolina. Then we went to the Chabad in South Carolina. Mm-hmm. And then we went to many other different ones when we came down to Florida. But your first experience, what was that like?
Well, my first experience ever, the first one in South Carolina. Yeah.
Yes.
It was good. I mean, I've never had I don't want to say I've had a bad experience. Everyone has their own flavor in what they do and how they do it. But overall, I would say that some people could just be skeptical, not knowing what your motives are or who are you. As a whole, we're very cautious because of the history that the Jewish people have had to endure, and just all kinds of craziness that's going on within the communities, and people, there's a lot of imposters too. And
yes,
so, I mean, there's just all kinds of strange things that happen. So I don't mind that, some people may not be as welcoming and excited and enthusiastic to have you. But I've had good experiences because people are usually genuinely like wanting to just treat people good. So, I mean, I've never had a bad experience.
How different was it from, let's say, a Messianic or Christian congregation versus when you went into the Jewish congregation?
Yes, it's definitely.
And that's a loaded question, by the way.
Culture shock. Because you come from this place of like, everyone is just very emotional and you're on emotional highs and lows. And, there's a moment where you're like weeping, and then there's a moment where you're like serious. Like, it's all over the place with the emotions. Whereas in the Jewish world, we don't really do that. It's not too focused on feelings and emotions, but it's just a different world because it's more focused on prayers. We know what to expect every time we go to shul, and we know what prayers are being said and what we're going to do. And so it's just a different world. I appreciate that. Like, I appreciate that. And I am drawn to that. So moving into the community and being a part of the people, and our conversion taking 18 months, it's been great. It's been great. And it's been amazing to see the growth in our children in just this short period of time. Like, our process was 18 months, but we've been in this community longer than that.
Yeah,
the kids being in school and learning how to daven and how to read in Hebrew, and just getting excited about the holidays and about the Torah at such young ages is delightful, because we know what it's like to raise children in the secular world and in public schools, and feeling just different because, we're trying to look a certain way and feel a certain way about Torah, about our values, and not having that system to hold you it's really hard. There was nothing in me saying like, I'm a Christian and I don't want to be anymore. Doesn't make sense. I just want to be a Jew. Like, no, there were times that, even the thought of conversion was like, scary. Like, do I really want to convert? Because we know we don't have to convert. It's not a choice that anybody put in our minds or made us feel like we had to do. It's like, how close do you really want to be to God? And how close and in tune do you want to be with his Torah, you know, and doing things his way?
His Torah is the key, because
right.
You can be close to God, right? Like, if you're not Jewish, you can still be close to God, very close to God, you know. But it seems like it is more like, how close do you want to be to his Torah and to his people?
Correct.
Now, was there any times that you found it to be hard, or that you had, let's say, a hard time or anything like that, you know, in the process?
Yes. Absolutely, yes. And if I were to say, no, it's been easy breezy, anyone could do this, I would just no. It's been hard, but nothing that you want to do that's going to bring you goodness and make you thrive is going to be easy, whether it's with your body, success, you know, economically, however, like anything you really know it's going to be a gain for you is going to be uncomfortable and it's going to be hard, but you know that it's going to give you the results that you know you need. So for me, it's not a matter about, you know, how I'm feeling, or this is difficult, or I don't really like this, or this part doesn't make sense, or this is hard. At the end of the day, it's not about me, because I didn't write the Torah, and I'm not the one who was given authority to like tell how to keep it and how to guard it. Like, that's not up to me, you know? So I know that things are uncomfortable and hard, but at the end of the day, I want to be a person that I can like teach my children and leave that legacy of like, wow, she really wanted to just love her God, follow his ways, please her maker, and tried her best to teach us how to do that. And her key and her answer to do that was Torah. And there's nothing else that I can say that I can give my children, all 8 of my children, because even if the ones we have children that are not converts, you know, we have children that are not Jews. So even for them to know, you know what, mom and dad left us a legacy. And if they ever want to know, how did mom and dad, like, how did they live for success in every area of their life? We have the book right here. Like, this is what they lived by. This is their code of conduct was the Torah. And that's just beautiful to me, because, you know, my mother left this world and there's nothing she left behind as a legacy in a physical form that I can say, oh, this is the blueprint of how she lived her life to be a great cook or a great, you know, whatever. Like, there's nothing that she left behind to me, unfortunately. So my plan is to leave my children, you know, like these videos, like they'll find these videos in the future, I'm sure. And so to know that we wanted to just know the one true God, the one true King, the God that David loved, you know, our you know, like there's just so many stories in the Bible. It's like, that God, we need to know that God, you know, and how do we please him and know him, like for real, like really mean it. Like I remember us praying like, God, I want to know you, reveal yourself, reveal your ways. You know, I want to please you. There's only one way. Like it's just the Torah. So
that's very, very beautiful. But I have one question for you. This one question is very important. If you had to do it all over again, even with all those highs and lows and everything that you had to go through, would you do it again?
I would. And I don't think I would change a thing. You know, my mom being a Catholic, me being a Christian, my kids growing up doing, you know, Christmas and Easter and all these things. Like it's my story and all these things, the good, the bad, the ugly, the blood, the sweat, the tears, all of it is what makes me who I am. And it's all a part of the story of my kids' lives and who they will be. And so there's no regrets. It's not like, man, I wish, you know, this and that would have turned out like this and that. Like, it turned out the way it was supposed to, because I believe in God being in full control of all things. And I believe that, you know, everything that happened was to happen. And, you know, I'm thankful for it. Life is messy, life is hard, but at the end of the day, it's like, who are you living for? And what are you living for? And what do you want to leave behind? So.
Good point. That's a very good point. Well, is there anything else that you want to share, or? Well,
that is the end of my story of how I came into this decision of converting. But if there's any questions or anything anybody wants to know, of course, ask away, put it in the comments, and we will share what we need to share.
Yes. And remember, this is our story, our experiences that we're sharing. When it comes to more details about the theological aspect, we'll probably do another video about that. That's what I was mentioning at the beginning. Yeah. But this is not that. This was just our experience. So, well, her experience. Mm-hmm. Anyways, thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye-bye.